Hey there everyone, it's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership, and it is day 2 of Communication Fest, which is what I've named September because I want to do 30 days of communication tips on how to grow your impact and influence. Whether that be for work, for life, whatever it is, that works wherever you want to work it, but if you work it. And today we are There we go. Am I back? I hope I'm back. I'm going to start again. We are here talking about, do you like my jumper? What I was talking about before I got cut off and my internet connection just died a death. So who knows where we got to? Let's start again. Day 2, it's Communication Fest. And we are talking about today, do you like my jumper? And other odd conversations we get ourselves into. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, how do we have these wrong conversations? You know, the ones that you wish you'd never started or the wish you'd never walked into, those ones. If you are listening live to this, if you can let me know that you can hear me, that would be brilliant because my internet just cut out. So the people are outside digging up the road. So goodness only knows how long we'll last. However, we'll go as long as we can. So the wrong conversations, the times when you think, my goodness, take me out of here. You're in a meeting and Bob and Julian have been going on for the last 25 minutes about something that has absolutely no relevance to the point that we're all trying to make. You know the ones. They're there all the time and they happen every day. And in our programs, we're always talking about this as a part of the confident communication program that we run. We're always talking about how to have the right conversations, but we need to know what the wrong ones are and how do we get out of those before we can have those right ones. So today we want to look at why we have these weird conversations and what we can do about them. And so the reason I've said, do you like my jumper? Because that's an example of one of these dodgy conversations that we're having. Is like, I don't care whether you like my jumper, but we end up having a discussion, let's call it a discussion, a debate about the minutiae of something. And you must have been, please let me know if you're listening to this that you can hear me because hopefully my internet's back on. And 2, have you ever been in a conversation where you're thinking, we're talking about the minutiae, but we need to be thinking about the bigger picture here. But Bob and Julian or whoever are standing there having this big, long conversation. And everybody else is rolling their eyes. We've all been there. And they're boring us to death, but they're clinging on to this passion they have for whether or not this is the right thing to be doing. And the reason why I say, do you like my jumper, is because it's a bit like that. It's like, I'm wearing this lovely spotty top today. You probably aren't wearing a spotty top. Maybe you're wearing a pink jumper. And the reality is, it doesn't matter whether I'm wearing a spotty top or whether you're wearing a jumper. What we should be talking about is what's the reason why we're doing that. So, okay, I don't want to turn up on here naked, as you probably don't want to either. So the point is that it doesn't matter. We should be talking at a higher level, a higher chunk, let's call it a chunk, in terms of what's more important. And this is really, really important because imagine, let's take another example. My favorite example is about cars. It doesn't matter what car you drive, some might say, but we have arguments over what's the best car, what one should it be? Should it be blue or black or red? And we can all have opinions that we could discuss many times over and have big long conversations. But the reality is we have to look at what's the purpose of the thing that we're talking about. So if it were a car, what we're looking at is the purpose of the vehicle itself. Well, the vehicle is to get us from A to B. So if we can help people to see that the conversation should not be, in this case, whether or not I have a blue car or whether a Mercedes is better than an Audi, it's more about, will this car take me where I want to go? Will it take me to the destination? And if the answer is yes, and we can get people to agree at the higher chunk, then we don't need to have the argument or the discussion underneath about which one is the right one, because it doesn't matter. And this is brilliant for helping to influence conversations, influence people to come around to your idea without having to have that conversation, what I call in the weeds, down in the chunk, right down in this, do you like my jumper or do you like my car? Because it doesn't matter. But if we don't help people to see that it doesn't matter, then we will have those long conversations in meetings and elsewhere about really unnecessary things. So how do you get people to chunk up? How do you get them to think in a different way? Well, that is about showing them and showing yourself what's important in the conversation. So if we can ask somebody, would you agree that we are trying to, let's say, get to Salisbury, because I live near Salisbury. Would you agree that what's really important here is that we get to Salisbury at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? And if somebody can agree at that point, whether or not we agree down here, then we can then go back down the chunk so that we can then say, well, if we agree here, is the most important thing that we get there, not whose car we go in or which one is better. Make sense? Now, you might think, Julie, what relevance is this? But actually, when you think about it, think about times where we've had people arguing and being pedantic over how a process is done, or whether it goes this way or that way, or they want to be part of something. If they were more bought into the next chunk up, or even the chunk up after that, then of why this is important and what's the more important thing, then actually we are bringing them out of the weeds and we're bringing them up into a much more important level of conversation, which will remove the need to have the arguments down here, which takes away the personal stuff, and obviously, as we know, when we get personal and we get personal preference, because that's what happens in the weeds, when we're on a personal preference, then that can start arguments, conflicts, emotions get in the way, because we're starting to look at what I like, what's about me, and it's much more personal to us. So if we can bring it away from being personal, we can bring it into being more linked into the bigger picture, the higher chunk, then we will be able to influence people much, much easier, because it doesn't feel so personal to them. And actually, they probably agree with you. I'm doing that not because I'm wearing a hat, but because that's my pyramid. I have a pyramid in my head. We're talking about coming up to that chunk where we can say, yeah, well, of course I agree with the fact that we want to go to Salisbury, or of course I agree that we want to do a good job on this delivery of our product. And then you can say, okay, great, if we agree on this, now let's come back down and let's look at how we're going to do it. So we're going up to look at what and why, and then we're coming back down again to look at how. So if you're listening to this live, I hope we are getting out there, and actually my internet hasn't died a death. If you're listening to it live, that's great. If you have a question on that, then do let me know. If you're listening to this on the replay, then thank you very much. And if you have a question, if you pop hashtag replay and then your question or your comment, then that would be really useful, because I'll know that you watching it, not live. So today, as I said, it doesn't matter whether you like my jumper, which is the name of this. What matters is why am I wearing the jumper in the first place? What purpose does it serve? And how you link the thing that you want to say to that. Because if you don't, you'll end up having those endless conversations round and round and round in the meeting, where everybody feels like they just wish they could fall on the floor or run away and leave. So remember that next time you come across those conversations, ask yourself, what chunk are we talking at? And how can I get people to chunk at the right level and not at that personal, low down, in the weeds level? Okay, if you're finding this useful, this is only day 2. There are 30 days of communication tips. And today at 2 o'clock, which is not that far away, we are actually going to be doing a masterclass that goes alongside those 30 days. And if you would like to access that, hopefully I'll put that in the comments. Here we go. I'll put it again. There we go. You can register there if you haven't already registered. And we start at 2:00, and we're going to be looking at an overview of, well, what is it that makes us a confident, impactful communicator? And so we're going to look at that overview, and over these 30 days, we're going to dip into some of those things. So it's well worth coming along to that session as well, if you would like to grow your influence and impact as a communicator. So thank you very much. I've just gone over my 10 minutes. That may be because of my internet. So have a great day, and I'll see you at 2 if you're coming there as well. If you would like to know more about how to implement this in your business, in your life, and you want to improve your communication, and you want to speak to me, then fine, no problem. Just message me and we can see how we can help you, and speak to you about your specific situation and what help you need. Okay, it's Julie from Think, Be, Do Leadership, talking about communication in the next 30 days at Communication Fest. And we will see you in the next session. Take care.